Hey there guys, what's up? It's JP here and I'm back with another Hearthstone video, and today I'll be doing a daily quest as well as a spotlight. And for today's spotlight we'll be doing I guess we do the rogue one. Let me just run through the deck list really quickly here. As you can tell, it is one of those Zui style aggro-ish mech decks. We're gonna start off with the basic cards that you get with as a rogue class, which is the backstab and the deadly poison. These two cards always been amazing, still is. We have two clockwork gnomes. These guys are sort of the new leopard gnomes, just because it adds a spare part, and the spare part sometimes gives you a lot of value here. It lets you trade up, it lets you stall for time, stuff like that. Really good one drop here. Next we got the Cog Master. Cog Master's in here just because basically everything else is a mech minus one or two cards. So Cog Master synergizes really well. Again, a really powerful early one drop. 3/2 kind of traits. Usually traits even with a buffed Undertaker. So again, a really aggro start here. Two Eviscerates. Eviscerates always been good, always will be. A single Annoyatron. I've played around with two. I'm not convinced two is great, but you could run two in here, I guess. There's no harm in that. Next we got the Blood Mage Thalnos, just for additional spell power, even though there's only two spells in here, if I'm not mistaken. And it's more for the card draw cycling, but the additional one damage does tend to matter in a few matchups here, but we'll go through that later on. The Goblin Auto Barber, this is an amazing card. Just because it gives your weapon a little bit of reach. Sometimes that pesky little knife juggler just needs to die, and smacking your face into it twice doesn't seem to work. So you gotta have this in here. Mech Whopper, obviously, arguably the best mech in the GVG set, just because it reduces the cost of every other mech, which is kind of a big deal here. Especially since Harvest Golem has become cost 2 mana, which is, as a 3 mana card, it was always very efficient. 2 mana, needless to say, is the most efficient 2 mana you're gonna get in the game here. Perhaps outside of Millhouse Maelstrom, but nobody really plays that anyways. Next we have a single Iron Sensei. Again, you can play around with two. I'm like the Annoytron. I'm not convinced. I guess the thing that you would take out for those would be the Thanos, but again, I'm not convinced here. SI7 agent times 2. There's no reason to not have these guys in here. Sure, it's not a mech card, but it's just such a good card. It makes no sense not to have it in here. Uh, Two Tinkertown Technicians, again, they're not mechs, but they synergize really well with mechs. And since basically everything else is a mech, you're gonna get the spare part. And 4 mana, 3 mana 4/4 is really powerful. A single Jeeves. Now I used to have two in here, but I kind of took it out just because I felt two was a bit clunky in this deck. A single Jeeves usually sticks on the field for a surprisingly long time, in my opinion, just because you play this style kind of aggro, and they would rather kill other stuff than the Jeeves. Though that although that would be considered a misplay, but even if they're hitting the Chiefs, it's not a big deal here. You usually have enough cards to keep going here. Mechanical Yeti, this is seen in a lot of decks nowadays. The spare part, sure, it gives both players a spare part, but I don't think that's as bad as some people might think it is. So yeah, definitely run two of these guys. Piloted Shredder, this is seen play in almost every deck nowadays, even in some handlocks. So just because it's a really powerful card, it gives you a 2-drop, which sure you can get some pretty shitty 2-drops, but the fact that there's always going to be stuff left over kind of means that this guy's baiting a silence at worst, I guess. Next up we got Gaslow and Toshli. Now these two were not in this deck originally. I'm not really sure. If I remember correctly, I ended the curve here with the Piloted Shredder. I actually had another Jeeves and another Annoyatron in here. But there are a few other cards that you can put in here. Assassinate's really good. Trade Prince Galawax is really good. You could even put in a sprint here, but I just like this just for a bit more late game here. Toshli and Gaslow synergize well with each other. Well, Gaslow basically synergizes with the mechanical Yetis, the Tinkertown Technicians, and the Clockwork Gnomes here. So that's 6 cards that synergize really well with the Gaslow, minus the Toshli, of course. And well, the Toshli does synergize as well. So that's 7 cards plus the 2 deadly poisons. That's about 9 cards that synergize here. Now, if you really want to be aggro, I guess you could put in the Sinister Strikes, which would synergize with the Gaslow as well. Uh, Personally, I haven't had much. I haven't found Gaslow to be a must in this deck here. It would be hard to argue Gaslow over. Uh, what's it called here? Um, the Piloted Sky Golem. Now, this guy is actually really good here. Just because it gives you a 4-drop. Now, 4 drops are not known to be amazing, but you could get some pretty decent ones with that here. Other cards that you might want to consider is the Sneed's Old Shredder. Now, this guy is really powerful as well because it always gives you a legendary. And again, you can get some pretty shitty legendaries. Probably the worst would be Blood Mage Thanos, but even then it's not terrible. And then you could also run things like the Mimiron's Head. I've actually played the Mimiron's Head in here, but there's one thing about the Mimiron's Head that I really don't like, and that is that it says that if you have at least 3 mechs, but not just that, right? It actually says here, destroy all of them and form Voltron. So basically, even if you have 5 mechs, it's gonna kill all 5 of them, and you don't really want to lose that tempo here. You only want to have the Mimiron's Head if you have 3 mechs, which seems very situational in my opinion. Another card that is pretty good in this deck is the Junkbot. Now, Junkbot gets a lot of flack for reasons unknown. It just synergizes really well with mech heavy decks here, so no reason not to run it. But yeah, if you're not gonna run Gaslow and Toshi, just run in Jeeves and another Annoyatron, or you could run the mechanical, or rather the Spider Tanks. Micro Machine is really interesting, but personally, I don't think it's worth running in here. But that's just me here. Don't run the target dummies, just don't do it. You could run in an Iron Sensei as well. But yeah, let's just play a couple of games here and then we'll see how it goes. I've been pretty successful with this deck. As you can tell, I haven't been grinding the ladder nearly as much this season here. The sound seems really loud here for some reason. Turn it down a little bit. Now, I've been trying to make a lot of a control style rogue. Somehow it just doesn't seem to be working here. Largely because there's no really good draw mechanic for rogue. I feel that's the biggest weakness here. And the synergies are kind of weird.
I will fight with honor.
Watch your...
So this is basically the worst hand you can ever have as an opening here. So we're gonna toss everything back. So yeah, like I was saying, it's really hard to make a control deck with the rogue class just because
I can fix anything. The pleasure is mine.
just because the style of cards or rather the style of the way of the cards, like the way they synergize, kind of promotes something like a tempo-ish style. It's been a while since I played on this map here. It's really fun. I can't remember how you... that's really annoying actually.
Here we go.
I guess we do this. The only reason that that trading was bad is just because the Master for Battle kills this board fairly efficiently, I guess. Yeah, but that's just the power of the mini shielded board here. It's a really strong card. This looks like a Consecration. Yep.
Well played.
And if you notice here, I'm very aggressive with the what do you call it? With the weapon here.
Something needs tinkering?
Here we go.
Like just keep going for face. That's how the deck is meant to play here, as is the case with every other mech deck that seems to be viable. It's a very aggressive style. It's kind of a Zooey style deck, um, which mechs actually don't fare that well against Zoo, um, unless it's like a mage mech, or this style is actually pretty okay. This deck is actually quite alright against Zoo here. The Gaslow and the Torchly is kind of a slower variant. I put those two in just for a bit of heavier late game here. As you can see, I already have one spare part here, and Gaslow will give me back at least one more mech, which is always nice here. It's kind of like you play this guy, you play a card, and then you get back a card, right? So either he's really confused or he has disconnected here.
Move quickly.
Yeah, that's the true silver. So yeah, I can see why that was kind of a hard move to make here.
Here we go.
So yeah, we're just gonna keep going for face here. No point use the deadly poison this early, especially since you have Gaslow, or we have Gaslow. We can go ahead and get a couple of mechs out of these, maybe on turn 8. Now this is gonna be a pain here. He's actually going for face, which I think is curious here.
That was a mistake.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think he just realized that. So you know what? I'm actually not convinced that was a mistake. uh, yeah, but we'll find out here, right? We're gonna go ahead and do it like this. The question is, do I want to backstab this? Or do I want to trade off some stuff? I think we backstab here. Now this is the point
Here
where we
we
get
go.
a bit starved on cards here. But it's definitely not unacceptable. There's a bit of overkill there, but I think it's fine. Again, I'm not convinced. So yeah, this is one of those times where you don't draw Gs and you feel like you get card stuff really quickly here. We're starting to lose steam at around turn 6 or 7. So actually, I think I did waste the backstab there. How did I do that? Yeah, backstab and then run here. So I actually didn't need the auto barber up. But this is more of a tempo play here. Sure, it gets wrecked by consecration, but that's just nature about aggro decks, I guess. Now I call it Dafaq just because I have no idea what I'm doing with this deck. I just made it like that here. Okay. A bit of epic voice crack there. Let's see, that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 damage. It's kind of hard to pass up here. We'll play Toshly here just to see, so that we can get a lot more
Give
value
Catherine
here.
a minute, turn to get ready. Here we go.
So I decided to go for face instead of trade off. Use the weapon here. Just because he's getting really low here, and we can top up a couple of cards with the Gaslow next turn.
Chapel on your head.
The Master for Battle is really powerful here. Not quite what he wanted here.
Well,
Reporting for duty.
Yeah, this one's gonna get really, really strong.
Reporting for duty. All day.
well played.
And it looks like this is pretty much over here. The knives didn't quite work out for him. So yeah, that's the first game here. So my buddy actually joined in at the wrong time. So let's go again here. The deck that I was playing against was more of a mid-rangey deck, which does tend to struggle a little bit against this deck, just because it can get off to really quick starts. But in most situations, the mid-range is pretty alright. Now this matchup is going to be actually pretty tough here.
The light shall bring victory.
Watch your back.
Ironically, I actually don't believe it is incorrect to get rid of the Pirated Shredder here. Yeah, we'll hold on to the backstab here and get rid of the Pirated Shredder. We have plenty of lower drops here. There's the Jeeves that Needle Maker show up. So yeah, this is a really bad hand opening here, but I think we can survive here. The Zombie Chow opening is really, really strong. That should be fine. I don't see any rush to kill off the Zombie Chow, but like backstabbing this is not ideal. Do I want a Deadly Poison backstab next turn? Alright, now that we got the second one here, that's fine.
Here we go.
Now, the fact that there's a Zombie Chow in there could indicate that this is Death Rattle Priest, which means he probably has a pretty slow start here because he doesn't have the Undertaker. Either that or he's holding on to it so that he can just play a whole bunch of Death Rattles and make it really big.
Must consider.
Shadow what Death the Harvest going on? No, did he use the coin here is the question.
Hurry up! Portals online!
He actually didn't. So we go ahead and just do this here. We already saw the Shadow with Pain, so I don't feel there's a rush to get the Auto Borrower up. I mean, I would assume he has a Holy Nova following somewhere. Oh, he got both in his opening hand here. Alright, so that kind of makes sense here, I guess. We can go ahead and play both here.
Here we go.
Sure, it plays into the Holy Nova, but that's fine. This was never a winnable matchup anyways. This is probably the hardest matchup here just because of all the early removal. And I did have a really slow hand here. Usually he would be at about maybe 20-ish health, maybe lower than that, if the deck was going at its usual pace. Holy Nova is fine here. I mean, he's killing 3 cards. I'm sure I'm getting a card back, but it's not really terrible. Boost, it gets his health back up again. Oh, 6 drop, okay. So this would be, I know what, I have no idea what this is. 6 drop.
Let me change your mind.
Okay. Yeah, that was really nice actually.
Here we go.
Can I help you, sir? Let me get back.
So yeah, we're getting some cards back here. It's not great, but yeah, this is probably a lost match here. His health is way too high. By turn 6, right? Like the last guy was almost dead this turn.
The damned stand ready.
Hmm. Yeah, that's not good. So again here we're gonna want to dump as many of these cards as possible.
Portals online.
Here we go.
And we'll hold on to this just for a bit more tempo here. Oh, I haven't got this map in so long here. It's kind of weird to see it twice in a row. Now we are still in pretty bad shape here just because Holy Nova kind of wrecks us. So does the Pyromancer, I guess. He can't Shadow Word Paint this and then wipe the board because he's already used that here. But he can do something like a silence here maybe. Power Word Shield kind of play, I guess. Toshli's kind of a bit awkward here. The Tinkertown Technician is actually really strong. It would have been the ideal turn 3 play here, but I couldn't get it. My buddy must be thinking like, what the hell?
My shield for Argon.
Oh, okay. Sure, I think we go ahead and do this here.
Here we go.
Let me trade off one here.
You have been.
Well played.
Not sure if I missed lethal there, but that was fine. So yeah, that's the deck here. As you can tell, Toshli and Gaslow didn't play much of a role there. It did put me in slightly better positions against later game scenarios, which is why I actually put them in there. But it'd be hard pressed to say, to argue about things like Pirated Sky Golem here. The Sky Golem's a bit more of a aggressive approach in my opinion. Sure, it's a late game, a relatively late game card here, but you can get a lot more damage out of this. And you usually will get more damage out of it here. Again here, other cards that you want to replace here for these two big legendaries would be Junkbot, Sky Golem. I've actually tried playing with the Fel Reavers, which honestly these guys are not worth it. Like I can't make these guys work. So yeah, alternatives will be in Jeeves. You could try the Enhanced Soul Mechano. I don't really like it. Spider Tank's really strong as well. But that's about it here. Maybe a second Onoitron. I wouldn't play around with this list too much here. Again, if you want to be more aggressive, yeah, you put a second Neutron, definitely, and a second Chiefs. But mine is more of a mid-rangey. I wouldn't say mid-rangey, more of a tempo style. So yeah, that'll be all for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and I'll have another one for you soon. This has been JP signing out.